Hey, what's up, guys? Gamer Guide here. Now, I apologize in advance. I truly do apologize. I remember I said before on Halloween that I wouldn't make any more leaked videos on Sonic Frontiers until I get the game, right? Or until I do my let's play of the game, because I will be doing it. Now, I have the game already, as you've seen my community post. But even then, I was like, let me finish playing this first, and then I'll do a let's play on it and give my thoughts. But I've discovered some things, and other people have written things that I have to discuss. This is something important that I think you guys need to learn and that you guys need to know before you spend money on Sonic Frontiers. Because I believe in being honest with your customers and to not deceive them or to make them think something and then they get something and then they're disappointed. That's false advertising. And this game costs a lot of money. It costs $60 just for the standard edition, and the deluxe is $70 plus tax. Especially if you're trying to break street date buying this in other places. If you're not getting a review code and you're buying this early, you're even going to spend more. So I feel all you guys need to know about this, and then you come up with your own conclusions. I'm not saying this game is bad. No, there's a lot of great things with this game that I'm going to discuss when I cover this game, but this is something that I think is kind of unacceptable and a little disappointing that I must discuss. So before I do, be sure to smash that like button, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let's see if we can get to 100k subs before the year is out. Alright, now I'm just going to read this guy's Twitter threads because I have been trying to find out the final two islands of Sonic Frontiers, Rhea and Kronos. Now before, I was thinking, okay, Sega doesn't want to spoil everything. They're not showing us the last two islands because not only are those islands going to be super cool, but they will contain a lot of spoilers, you know, as the story progresses. No, I'm not here to reveal any spoilers of the story, so don't get that twisted. This is just about the gameplay. So yeah, but as a lot of people have been playing this game, it's leaked out. A lot of people got review codes, broken street date. Some people have even hacked the game. I've been waiting on hearing news about the last two islands. I've been wondering, what are they going to be? What are they going to be? Is Rhea going to be a snowy island? Is it going to be a jungle? Is it going to be all that? It's going to be neither. Matter of fact, the last two islands are exactly the same as Kronos Island. Crazy, right? You guys don't believe me, right? But here's the picture right here. You see how the last two islands look exactly the same as Kronos? Now, at first when I saw this, I was thinking, well, Sega's just trying to hide what those islands look like. You know, they're not trying to spoil it. But I'm like, wait a minute, this is in-game. The person who sent me this, who completed the game, this is in-game. Why would Sega hide the last two islands? What's so special about them? Well, this person who has beaten the game completely has said this. Yeah, so Sonic Frontiers very clearly recycles a large chunk of content in a manner that artificially extends the runtime, a thread. Spoilers, obviously. Alright, you scroll down. I'm going all in. Let's get this out of the way. Rhea Island and Kronos Island are the fourth and fifth areas of the Starfall Islands. They're the same as the first, Kronos Island. Now, no one has covered this on their channels. No Sonic Tubers have talked about this. And I feel like you guys need to know this because it would be a disservice that you guys don't know about this. You're buying Frontiers, excited to play 5 different biomes when you're only going to be playing 3 different biomes. You know, LS Mark, Splash Dash, he said right here when someone asked him, without spoiling anything, how did the last 2 islands compare to the other 3? He says, there's a reason they haven't been shown yet. Now, when he said this, many people are like, guys, he doesn't mean it in a negative way. This could be very spoilery content. And maybe Sega just doesn't want to let us know because there's a lot to go on. The coping was hard on this one. I was like, look, guys, Splash Dash put an upside down face emoji. That's usually a negative sign. Why would someone put an upside down emoji if the last 2 islands are hype? You guys are really coping. I knew it was bad the moment I read this tweet. I just didn't know how bad. Let's continue reading. And I don't just mean that they use the same grass level theme and play the same exact song from Kronos, which they do. I mean that all 3 of them were a part of one island until they were split in development. Essentially, Sega pulled the colors again. Now, I know a lot of people that dislike colors, even the people that love colors like me, Sonic Colors. One of our main criticisms was how they broke up 3 acts into 6 acts. It was like they did that for padding and longevity of the game. You know, that has been what Sega's been doing with Sonic for years now with the 3D games. Always been doing padding. You know, whether it's the Werehog in Unleashed, or the breaking up of acts and colors, or the missions and Generations. There's all different kinds of padding that Sega does. Some of it is good. You know, all games have some type of padding. but some of them are very cheap, and it's like, yo, why are you doing this? Just let us enjoy the game. I don't care if it's shorter than the average open world game. Now it says the file names for these icons of each of the islands are labeled in a numerical order, except Rhea and Uranos, which are under the World 1 label. These mini-maps are for Kronos, Rhea and Uranos respectively. As you can see, Rhea is literally just a chunk of geometry from Kronos. Uranos seems to be separate and original, but could very possibly be taken from the full Kronos island. They're also all titled World 1. Like, are you serious? In fact, you can still see parts of Rhea with the geometry intact in Kronos, which has areas suspiciously walled off from the player. I don't think there's going to be DLC for this game. You know what? This is what I don't understand. Why couldn't Sega just wall off Rhea and Uranos and make that DLC? I honestly would not mind playing more DLC that look like Kronos. I honestly wouldn't mind. Any DLC is better than no DLC. Why couldn't this just be 3 islands? Why did you guys have to make it 5 islands? This just lets me know we're not going to get any substantial DLC in Frontiers. Because if we're getting DLC, right? If we're getting new islands, new biomes as DLC in Frontiers, why couldn't they just put that in the main game, right? So I don't think we're going to get DLC like that in Frontiers. I think it's just going to be like aesthetic things like new shoes, costumes, that kind of stuff. I don't think it's going to be like new islands, because this is alarming. Now, to bring the point home, this is a memo from Eggman talking about the ancients and how they never spread their influence beyond the Starfall Islands, except he refers to them as 3 piddly islands, not 5. These memos are voiced as well. It's not just a typo. A vocal recording with the remnants of the 3 islands plan means they had to have made the decision to split Kronos into 2 extra sometime in the middle of development. The evidence to support this doesn't stop here. Now you can see in the Egg memo, when Eggman is talking about it, he refers to Starfall Islands as 3 islands. My guess is Sega wanted to make this 5 islands because a star has 5 corners. So they're like, okay, let's make it 5. Remember when we all thought there would only be 4 Starfall Islands? Like, we were all convinced. It was in the leaks. There will only be 4. So the fact that Sega made it 5 is even later on in development. Originally, Sonic Frontiers was only supposed to be 3 islands. Then they extended it to 4 islands as the leaks were starting to, unfold. Then I think later on in development, must have been maybe earlier this year or late last year, they're like, you know what? Let's make it 5 islands. Note Chaos Island, the 3rd area in the game. Before the change of plans, it would have actually been the final area, and it sure seems like it. It's a volcanic themed world, a classic final level trope, and the name Chaos Island thematically fits as the setting of the finale. That's true. You guys know, this game starts with Sonic, Tails, Amy, and Knuckles. Sonic rescues each of them on each island. He rescues Amy in Kronos Island, he rescues Knuckles in Ares Island, and he rescues Tails in Chaos Island. Who the hell does Sonic rescue in the final 2 islands? I've always wondered that. I'm like, does he rescue Eggman? No, he doesn't rescue Eggman because there's something else going on with Eggman. I will not talk about story spoilers in this video. You guys should find that out on your own. But it always was weird to me. I was like, is there going to be an extra character in this game? Is there going to be Shadow or other characters? Nope. Sonic doesn't rescue anybody in the last 2 islands. Now Mari says, notice how gameplay and marketing footage only ever shows the first 3 islands, with no signs of Rhea or Uranos, considering how they're indistinguishable from Kronos. However, they could have been presented without any indication of being separate areas. Also, notice that there are only 3 rescuable characters. Exactly what I just said. This would have been 1 for each island before they chopped up Kronos. With the memo, Chaos Island, and the characters, the idea of the late addition of these 2 new areas is further supported. So what exactly can be gleaned from this? Number 1, Sega has not learned a thing in regards to time and resource management. This shouldn't be a shocker. This is always true despite their insistence that next time will be different. This may not be a total rush job of a game, but they still seem fine with recycling existing content to fill out corners on a short notice. Something akin to what happened with Colors and Forces. To me, it seems they made the original Kronos first, but couldn't match the same large scale with Ares and Chaos. So not only did they make the next area significantly smaller, but they covered their tracks and eased the pacing difference by chopping up Kronos into 3. I'm totally fine with there only being 3 Starfall Islands. I don't know why Sega felt the need to make this 5 islands. The last 2 should have just been DLC islands. I don't know. This was the same problem with Cyberspace. That's why a lot of people were hating on Sega back in June During Summer Games Fest, I defended Sega. I've been very positive with this game. I have defended this game a lot. Even with Cyberspace, I was like, oh, it's only a side thing, or it's not the main part of the game. I understood it. Then we learned that, oh wait, there's only 4 main themes in the Cyberspace. It's like, why? Why couldn't you at least use other themes from like Generations? So it's like, okay, whatever. It's just Cyberspace. Now we learned this about the open world, and it's like, yo, come on, Sega. You guys were doing such a good job with the story and everything, just the emotion. Like, the emotion in this game is really good. You know, I really love the story in this game. Why are you going to drop the ball when it comes to the game design and just using your resources better and not rehashing stuff? I don't understand. How are you going to rehash the open world along with the Cyberspace? Now, number 2, if they're willing to pad the game out with reused segments functioning as extra worlds, they clearly care a lot about runtime. I mean, they even started marketing it as a selling point later on in the game's release cycle. This is why Colors is my point of comparison. Most likely they focus hard on making this game long because of the intense amount of criticism thrown at Forces for being short as hell. But as said before, this has surely led to things being padded out in one way or another. Exactly. Like, I know a lot of you guys were on Premi's ass about the length of this game, and even after 5 islands, people like Ellis Mark were still able to beat this game in around 12 hours, 12 to 15 hours, give or take. If this game had only 3 islands, that means this game would have been only like 9 to 12 hours. Ellis Mark also said that the ending of Sonic Frontiers was underwhelming or anticlimactic. So I was hearing a lot of people say this, but I learned that there's actually different endings for Sonic Frontiers. There's a bad ending and a good ending. I don't know if there's more endings, but I do know if you 100% each of the islands, you get a good ending for Sonic Frontiers. So kind of like Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic Adventure 1, all those Dark Age games. So just a food for thought. If you're playing Sonic Frontiers, make sure you 100% everything if you want to get the good ending. Just more padding from Sega, you know, because they want to make sure you really spend a lot of hours on this game to get the good ending. It's whatever. I would have been okay with that if the last 2 islands weren't just Kronos Island Part 2 and Part 3. But whatever. And number 3, the most important in my opinion, they were definitely willing to recycle content just for the sake of lessening the load. I say most important because it ties into arguments regarding Cyberspace. Many of the levels are pieces of existing ones stitched together. Some are total copies of one level. And it all comes packaged in only 4 level themes with visual elements that are all lifted from previous games. We've all seen Green Hill, Chemical Plant, Sky Sanctuary before. Many, including the developers, argue that these are merely throwbacks for the fans, glossing over the tiredness of nostalgic throwbacks in Sonic. This clearly paints the picture that they were willing to completely reuse content if it was solely for their sake. They didn't need the nostalgia angle at all, and with how off Cyberspace feels in both design and control, it could entirely be possible the whole thing was also a very late addition to increase the game's length. With all this in mind, Frontiers really seems like it fell into the same trappings of other recent Sonic games on the development side. It really sucks that this is still somehow a consistent issue, even in the claimed evolution of Sonic. With this information, the question of what development was like has already opened up. One could argue this game was rushed, the developers were lazy, or they only actually planned around 1/3 of it and made the rest up as they went along. But who's to say? This is like the Lost World problem. Remember how Sonic Lost World started off pretty strong? And then by the time it reached to the last 2 worlds, Sky Road and Lava Mountain, it dipped in quality so hard. From the level design, reusing a lot of assets, to Lava Mountain being essentially a boss rush type of level, or a boss rush type of world. It's like, why does Sega do this? Why do they recycle things? Like, at first I was thinking, okay, will the last 2 islands be like mini islands or transitional islands? Kind of like how Mario Odyssey, the Cloud Kingdom, and like that Dark Souls Kingdom, I forgot what it's called. Those 2 islands were pretty much transitional islands. They were very short, but they were still fantastic. I loved them. Think like Hidden Palace in Sonic 3 and Knuckles, a transitional level. It's not even that, it's just recycled levels or themes of Kronos Island. It's basically Kronos Island cut up. So what do you guys think about all this? Let me know down in the comments below. But there you have it. You finally have all your islands and themes for Sonic Frontiers. Your grassy island theme, your desert island, and your volcano island. That's it. The last 2 islands may as well not even be in the game. So I felt the need to make this video because you guys need to know what you're buying, what you're getting. So no jungle island, no snowy island, forget about all of that. So yeah, I hope this doesn't deter you guys from actually buying the game and giving it a chance or giving it a shot. But yeah, it is kind of disappointing. But whatever, that's all I want to say. So take it or leave it. That's all I have for now until I cover this game next week. So stay safe out there. Avoid story spoilers if you don't want to be spoiled. But take care. And until next time, I'm out.